today I started constructing actually the circuit in your using the software. The only problem actually it was already discussed. The only problem I was facing was the wire is getting stuck. But you are using it very freely. I think when you are drawing the circuits.
Yes.
Is there any way like because we are getting stuck there? Of course, there is a like we can connect it to some other thing and then put Control Z and it is getting disconnected. But because when you are drawing it, probably after using it for many times, will it be solved? Because once the wire is connecting between two components, I feel that it is becoming difficult. That is what I observed when using the software.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, it is very user friendly.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Probably after getting experience, we can solve it because you are doing it very fast. I am not able to do it.
Yes, sir. I think this problem is somewhat existing, and we are trying to develop this. And also, what we are doing is want to make sure this one is also compatible with the mobile screens. So that's the problem arising here. So we want to make it compatible with this desktop and also the mobile. So still we have to improve the way we are going to connect. Also, I'm thinking when we have one cable here and one cable here, like how MATLAB does, if you click here and you press one of the buttons and you press this button, both of them should be connected instead of just I'm trying to think of making those type of simplifications.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you also observe that it's not always easy to connect.
Yeah.
Especially on the mobile screens, it takes very long for us to connect. And also when we are here, when we try to connect, if we click somewhere close by, it takes more time to connect. It makes like this.
Yeah. I thought if there is a twist, I would click before whenever there is a twist, and then again move from there.
Yes.
So
it makes like these connections.
Yeah, somehow like that.
Yes.
And then it is not sticking to the trap.
So what I do is bring it here until it's face very close. I mean the cursor very close to the block. Instead of connecting here, I bring it until here and then I click here. So, but I have to improve this part of the connections. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for bringing this.
Thank you.
Do you have any plans of updating the values through the connecting wires, Suresh? While you connecting the two blocks while in run some simulation, we have I've seen one facility in LabVIEW actually. There's a data flow updation of values. Do you have any such feature here?
No, we didn't put any probe here. If you want to measure, you have to bring this display and you have to connect it. But there is no. But inbuiltly, there is nothing like inbuilt. We have to connect something like this. Maybe in the future, I can think of this as a good option. The problem here, as I told, it is not as fast as MATLAB or LabVIEW because it is not directly running on operating system. So whatever we do here, it takes some compilation, and it is not actually compilation, it's interpretation. So until the line comes, the computer also don't know what it has to do. So it takes more time for the execution. And also the data transfer between threads is also taking some cost of memory and also processing. So to minimize all these things, I'm not giving these type of functionalities.
Acha, okay.
Yeah, but maybe in the future, I'm planning to make this on Raspberry Pi and also to make it little more fast. Maybe you can use. I'm thinking if every user is desktop user, maybe I can have one version like this and another version for desktop. In the desktop, it will be a little faster, or it can match the speed of MATLAB or LabVIEW. It depends on the number of users we may get and the interest. If the interest is more on website, then actually what I'm thinking is if it is already on desktop app, we already have MATLAB and also Skylab. There is very little demand for this type of software because it's already available. On the online is the most focus we are having on right now.
Okay, yeah.
And another, do we have a provision of importing data files? Like if we have a set of data, like I have a series of voltage values or current values, can I
Yes,
import that data and can I call it for processing just like we do it in programming? Because when we do the state estimation, we normally do it in Octave or MATLAB by coding, where we call a lot of set of data. The data will be processed through algorithm, and then
yes.
is it possible to call such kind of files like Excel files or .dat files, and then process that kind of data?
Yeah, I understand the question, sir. And yeah, we are planning it right now. It is not available. The future plan is to have these things like in the first or second class I told, we are planning to make one for the file downloading. Once you have some result, you have to download the result. And also we have to be able to upload some kind of information, like instead of having only limited sources, it should be bringing up with some file or some audio signal or some video signal, something, some external data which you can get it and process on the top of that data. Yes, we are planning it. And also we want to plan for another noise. We have only this uniformly distributed noise. We want Gaussian noise as well. So these are on the next developing aspects. Yes, we are planning, but right now it is not available.
Okay.
Yes. If you have any doubts, please ask me. Any more doubts? You can solve it and go to. Otherwise, we will go to the today's class. Before I
state
start,
estimation,
yes,
do we have one more doubt? For the
yes,
state estimation, I think you already provided us Kalman filter also.
yes,
Can we do it even on nonlinear systems like extended Kalman filter or nonlinear systems also? Can we implement it and test it?
yes, sir. In VMR, we
Nonlinear, there are some other algorithms.
you mean the Kalman filter for the nonlinear systems?
Right, exactly. There are extended Kalman filter or sigma point Kalman filter, which are advanced. Well, for nonlinear systems, I think these versions have been developed. Are
Yes.
these tested on this, or can we apply it? Can we test on the system?
We can
On
test on this system, yes.
software?
Yeah, we can test on
Because we
VMR.
can develop nonlinear models.
Yes, sir. We can
Yeah.
develop nonlinear models. Yeah, if I recommend you to develop it, if you are missing any tools, please let me know. I will develop those blocks so that it will be more complete, sir. Because I'm mostly focusing on the work I'm doing, which are electromechanical systems. So I may not have all the MATLAB tools which you use. So if you find anything missing, if you tell me, I will try to include into this library, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is more focused towards robotics kind of applications, right?
This yes, sir. Right now, yes, sir.
These are the primary.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But the plan is to extend it in the future. But what we have started is what we do, what we know best, and we want to make sure that it is working with high accuracy, and then we can extend it for the other areas as well. Yes, that is the plan for this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your feedback, sir. Okay. If you have any other doubts, please ask me.
So it's better you can start the session, Dr. Suresh. We
Okay.
proceed with the content today.
Yeah, let us start with today's program. Today's our objective is very simple. We have two simple sections. One is first order, second order. What we have to do is we have to make sure our adaptive control is working, and we will show the step-by-step procedure how we can apply it. And at the last of the today's class, I will take some time to explain what is the mathematical background for this for the adaptive control we are using. So what is the objective today is we want to apply adaptive control to track a trajectory. So what does it mean? If you give one reference value, any value like you want to follow certain path, your output. So you make your algorithm, this control algorithm, which we are going to discuss today, you apply this and it will make sure that your path is followed. So the output of the system will be same as the reference you are giving. In this case, we are saying that we don't know the parameters. If you know, I mean, we don't know, but for the simulation purpose, we say we will pull out some of the information, but this algorithm works when you don't know the parameters. And what is the other assumption it does is, the first assumption is the parameters we are having, they are not changing very quickly. So they may change, but over a period of long time, they may change, but not like they should not be changing very quickly. This algorithm works when it changes little slow. And yeah, that's the supposition we are doing, and we are trying to focus on electromechanical system or robot in this case. So we don't have to say that it is continuously changing system and its values are bounded. So what I'm saying is these are the assumptions also we include into this algorithm. So this algorithm works only if all this, like these three things. It should be bounded, then the inputs and outputs should be bounded and should be continuous. And continuous means we can use discrete time. This algorithm may be discretized, but it should be continuous means it's when it is in the real, the model in the real life should be continuous. The model, the control algorithm itself can be discretized. And the other one is we are saying that the parameters of the model or the system, they are not changing with very high speed. They are changing slowly over the time. Okay, so let us see the first order system. So this says if this is the system, y dot is equal to ay plus bu. We are giving the general form of writing first order system. So what is the control algorithm is? The control algorithm is u is the input to this system. The u is equal to 1 divided by b cap multiplied by minus a cap y plus alpha a e plus r dot. So let us see what is b cap. B cap and a cap are the estimates of a and b value. As we said, we don't know the values of a and b, but we are using a cap and b cap. These are the ones we will calculate during the simulation. Okay, so we have this. So then what we have is this alpha, and this alpha is also not available to us. We have to calculate during the simulation. and R dot. Here R is the reference we are giving. So if you have a some reference signal, we have to derivate it and we have to put it here. In the real life, if you don't want to make a derivative, you can use a filter, but this is R is the something you are giving, so you already know what is the derivative of this. And also remember that we said it is continuous, because whenever you derivate a continuous, you always get a finite value. So that's one of the conditions, because R dot should be something finite. Okay. So writing it in matricial form, we can write theta transpose times phi. So what is theta? The theta is minus a cap divided by b cap, and 1 divided by b cap, and this part. And what is phi? Phi is y, and alpha e plus r dot. So if you multiply theta times phi, what we get? We multiply y times this one, so we get this term, and we get this times this, which we get this term. So what we are doing is we are writing it in this matricial form. Okay. So let us apply this control algorithm and see how it works. So what is the example? Let us go to the example. The example says apply adaptive control to the following system. So if we have, this is the system, we have this is the transfer function. If we rearrange this, let me show, I didn't write this here. If we rearrange, I'll show how it looks. S plus 2 is equal to V. So how we can write this is dot Q is plus 2 So if we say dot Q is y, we can write dot y is equal to V minus 2 times. So if we have this format, if we compare it with the previous structure, we have A and B values. We have 2 and 1. The A is 2 and the A is coefficient of y, which is 2. And the coefficient of B is 1. So we have 1. So let us simulate the system. So we are making a system with, this is 1, the input, V times 1, so we are putting 1 here. Actually, we don't need to put anything, but I put 1 just to show that we are multiplying with 1. And the feedback is 2 times y, so this is 2 times y. This whole thing is our system. This is our system. So this is our system. So we have it here. So what is the algorithm we are using? Let us see from the output. The output I mean, the output of the algorithm is input to the system. The input to the system is U, which is 1 divided by B cap. Okay, so okay, in this I forgot to mention, I forgot to show you the how we are getting the theta actually. Okay, so for the theta we have a differential equation. At this point we don't have, but we have seen this already in the parameter identification part, that theta dot comes from a differential equation by multiplying so let me show this loosely based on the parameter estimation we have done before. So let me show that. Take this algorithm, the theta dot is equal to this differential equation, right? We are multiplying three items. One is phi, error, and a gain. So we have something similar here. The theta dot is multiplication of a gain and phi. What is phi here? In our case, the phi is y and alpha e plus r dot. Let us see how we are constructing this phi. This phi is made of two rows. The first row is y, the output of the system. So we are taking the output of the system. I'm multiplying one just for some other reason, but we don't need to multiply. If it is multiplying with one, no need to multiply. So we are taking the output. And what is the other row? It says alpha times e plus r dot. So what is the e? E is the difference between output and the one we want. We want this a sine wave. We want the output to follow the sine wave. So what is the difference between these two is the error. So error is equal to the actual value we want and the actual value we are receiving. So reference R minus, so what is this? This is the reference R. So this is R. So this is the output Y. R minus Y gives us error. So this error times alpha. So the error times alpha. So what is this? This is alpha. This is alpha. So we are multiplying with alpha. And we are adding it with R dot. What is R dot? If this is R, you can do one derivative, one differentiation. And this will be R dot. So we are adding R dot plus this term, which gives us this part, and joining it in a matrix. I mean, putting it in the second row and putting first row as the Y, we get the phi. So we already know what is the adaptive law. We can have gamma times epsilon times phi. So we multiply all these three things here, and we multiply with another value. I'm keeping this as 1. This is if you put a higher value, you can say that we are multiplying this matrix with another higher value, right? This is same like instead of putting 50 50 here, you can put 1 1, and here you can put 50. It is the same thing. So just to show that, and then we have this theta, and we can calculate the theta. And so what is the u? The u is whole this, or you can say theta transpose phi. So we are making theta transpose. And what is phi? We have calculated here. So we multiply with this. So this multiplication of these two things goes as input to the system. So this, the whole thing is U, and which is going input to the system. So if you see, the control algorithm is this one. We are implementing this algorithm. Where are we giving the reference? The reference we are giving here. Okay, so let us run this and see the outputs for ourselves. Where is the output? The output is here. Here is the output and here is the reference. We are joining both here in a matrix and plotting it. So if we run this, we will see the output and the reference and the output. Okay. It used some data, so let us not plot all the dots. Let us plot only one dot per 10 calculations and see if we can zoom it. Okay, so we are running the simulation for 15 seconds and you can see in the initial stage, this is the reference, the orange one, and this yellowish orange or golden color is the reference. So we can see as the time goes, the reference and the actual output are coinciding each other. So once we are in, after 15 seconds, we can see both are together. So what do we say? Our control algorithm is working. And this is for the first order system. If you have any doubts, please ask me. Okay. Also here I want to show you something. For example, here if you see the theta, the values we are having here are, let us run and see what are the values we are receiving here. So we know the parameters we are using is 1 are 1 and 2, and we can see they are reaching 1 and 2. So this is important to notice that it is always not required to reach this, because in this algorithm what we are making sure is the output is following a trajectory. We are not making sure that the parameters are reaching its final or it's identified properly. So maybe in your simulation, your parameters may not reach to the values which are in the system. It is possible. So if you want to identify the parameters, we don't use this algorithm. We use this algorithm only when we want to track the follow a trajectory. We will see this in another example. There we can see that it is reaching its output. The output is same as the reference, but the parameters are identified as different. So let us make sure this algorithm is for adaptive control, not for identifying parameters. You can't do both in this algorithm. Okay. So let us see what is the next example. If you have any doubts, please ask me.
Yeah, I have a doubt, Suresh. Why
Yes.
we are making an output deliberately follow some other one? Because in the function which we have seen, y dot is equal to some u plus a, whatever the first order systems we have showed,
Mhm.
we are giving a reference as sine signal.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that linking I didn't get properly actually.
Okay. In control systems, what we say control is if you want some system to behave the way you want. For example, you have a robot and you want it to move in a sine wave function. So if you can't give any voltage, you have to give voltage such a way that the robot arm moves in sine wave, right?
Yeah.
So you have to give the reference. You have to say that I want the curve to be like this, and you make sure you do whatever you want to do, but give the output the way I want.
Then
So you
what is
draw
the
uh,
response of a system then? Every
the
system
response.
has certain response, right? Based upon
Yeah.
the inputs, based upon the parameters.
Yes. Yeah.
So can we deliberately change that response or desired one?
That's what we want to do here. That's we whatever we call the response like dynamics, right? Whatever the dynamics we have in the system, we want to understand the dynamics, and we have to prepare a control signal which is capable of giving a desired output. What is our desired output is R. So we want
Yeah.
a desired output R. So you are allowed to do whatever you want with your control logic, and you have to come up with one control signal or input to the system such that the output is as you are desiring. So your desire is to have a sine wave, and this controller is making sure that you are receiving a sine wave at the end of the all the process.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so what you are saying to the controller is, I don't know what signal you have to give to the input to this system, but I want this as the output. So you are not worried about what input you want to give. So you are only worried about the result. And you say, I want result to be like this. And the controller makes it sure that your desire is fulfilled, or we can say the trajectory is followed.
Yeah. Got it.Got it. Thank
Yeah,
you, Suresh.
you're welcome. Also, we can say an example like if you are in a flight, you are driving a car or any vehicle. So what you want to say is, I want to go in certain speed, and we are not doing that in the real life. We are controlling the car, but if it is autopilot aircraft, so to the aircraft, what you will say is go at 60 kilometers per hour. I'm just giving one example. Maybe it is 600 kilometers per hour. So yes, give 600 kilometers per hour, and what it does is it has an internal controller. it you don't even know what is the wind and what is the stuff going on with the aircraft or anything.
Yeah.
You don't know what are the parameters of the electric motor or the turbine they're using. So you just say I want 600 kilometers per hour, and the controller will make sure all the calculations, and it gives certain input to the turbine, make sure that it is rotating properly to give 600 kilometers per hour velocity. Yeah. So it is the same principle we use in the PID controller as well. So we give some reference value, and we take the difference and we feed it as an error, and we use PID. So what we are saying is we have some error. Please remove this error. The error, what is the error? Something what you want and something what the computer is giving or the system is giving. I mean, computer is not the system. The system is the plant. It can be anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let us see the next example.
Professor Suresh, before proceeding,
Yes, sir.
we have used the same algorithm for even parameter estimation, right? The least mean square. I think the same algorithm has been used for parameter estimation
Similar,
also.
sir.
Is it,
It
if
is.
I'm not wrong?
It
It is
is
the same
not the
algorithm, right?
same. It is similar, sir.
Similar, okay.
Yeah, because
Like,
if you see the phi is different.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you see this this here, what we are saying is okay. It is in another
Presentation.
similar, but it's not the same. So if we have any system like this, previously the phi was voltage and Q dot.
Okay.
But now it is the output, and output is the Q, you can say, and it is the reference is also entering into the phi, and also the error between the reference and so I say it is similar because we are using the same kind of parametric model and all, but it is not applied to the system. It is applied along with the control algorithm.
Okay. I have one more doubt, like the normal PID controller that we
Yes.
use, there
Yes.
also we try to follow the desired output.
Yes.
Right? So adaptive control, is there anything that the controller is trying to adapt to the changes, and then is it performing better than the PID controller? If it is so, in what way? Why is it so called adaptive? Is it getting adapted to some changes that are happening inside the system?
Yes, sir. For example, for PID controller, if you design the P, I, and D, you design generally by making sure or taking care of the model you are using. So you will ask, if you have a model, you will say what are the values of A and B, and based on that you will design, or you can say you tune the PID values. But here you are not tuning anything. Whatever values you give here, this controller will adapt itself to always follow the trajectory, desired trajectory. So the difference between this and so this is like a controller which you don't have to tune anymore. It is always tuning itself. You just say what output you are expecting, and it will try to reach it all the times. Yes. Is it clear, sir, my answer? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can hear Suresh. I think Raju sir has disconnected, I hope. Because of, yeah. Carry on, Suresh.
Okay. So let's continue with the topic. Okay. So we see this algorithm is similar but not the same. Okay. So let us see the next example, which is applying this to a robot arm. So where is the place? Here we apply. Let us go directly to this robot with signal output. So we applied the same thing what we had, and we are integrating it because what we are doing is velocity control. If you see this is velocity. So we are controlling the velocity. So if you want to see the, if you want to see the position, what we'll do, we'll integrate it. We integrate it. So this is the output we will get. So let us see the output. The robot arm should move in a sine wave format. So this is what we are expecting from. So we are saying the robot to move in the sine wave form. So this is what we are controlling here is the velocity. But we know if the velocity is in sine wave, the position is also sine, because the integral of sine wave is similar to sine, which is cosine wave. So we get the movement in this format, like a sine wave. Okay. So any doubts, please ask me. Otherwise, we'll go to the second order system. Okay. Okay, let's go to the second order system then. I think no doubts. Okay, here the algorithm gets little complicated, and the explication for this is given at the end. We will see this at the end. But if you are not very much into the mathematics, or if you are not too much into understanding the control part, you don't have to worry about the algorithm, how it works. But you should be able to, as an engineer, we should be able to understand how to implement this. So let us see what the problem says. The problem is very simple. We have to control this system. The system is given by y double dot plus a y dot is equal to bu. Okay, so what is the u? We are defining u is theta transpose times phi. So how do we get theta? This is a differential equation we want to use. So here it's very important to understand the terms, each term what it is. This is gamma. Gamma is a gain. It's actually a matrix and it should be positive matrix. So what does a positive matrix means? It is again, should be symmetric and all its eigenvalues should be positive. So what is B? For any two second order system in this form, we take B is equal to 0, 1 transpose. So it is a column matrix with two rows. First row is 0, the second row is 1. So what is P? We will see what is P in much later. So let us first talk about the E. What is E? E is a matrix. It's a column matrix or a vector with two elements. The first element is E. E is the difference between the desired value and the actual value, reference minus y. And what is E dot? Is the differentiation of this. So E dot is equal to R dot minus Y dot. So this is the matrix E. So we know all the terms except the, okay, before going to the P, let us see what is phi. The phi is given by Y dot, Y and Z. This is a vector of 3 rows. So what is Z? We are defining Z is equal to this term. So this is R double dot. So what is R? The reference. So if you know the reference, you have to do single differentiation and second derivative. So it should be, the R should be continuous and R double dot, R dot should also be continuous in this case. Only then we can make sure this algorithm works. Otherwise this value will go to infinite. So to keep it finite value, the R and R dot should be some finite values. Okay, yeah, and we are defining Z is equal to R double dot and alpha 1 times E dot, alpha 2 times E. What are alpha 1 and alpha 2? So let's say the alpha 1 and alpha 2 can be defined in this matrix, or we can say we can give any values which satisfies this condition. Or how do we write alpha 1 alpha 2? We write in this format 0 1 minus alpha 1 minus alpha 2 minus alpha 1, and it should satisfy this condition. So what is this condition? This is a Lyapunov stability condition. If it is not available in our syllabus, we don't have to discuss it, but make sure these are matrices, and A is the one with dynamics. P is a positive matrix. Again, what is positive means? The transpose of P is P, and also all its eigenvalues are positive. A transpose P plus P times A or P transpose A is equal to minus Q. What is Q? The Q should also be a positive definite matrix. If Q is positive definite matrix, minus Q is negative definite matrix. So this is the Lyapunov function. It's a derivative of Lyapunov function. We will discuss about this when we talk about the theoretical part. So for now, let us say this condition we have to satisfy. So how do we satisfy? So if this matrix should be this actually we use for the stability condition. So what is the stability condition? The dynamics of A should be stable. How do we say it is stable? All its eigenvalues should be negative. So if we have all its eigenvalues negative, we can make sure this function is satisfied. This is always satisfied. So we have to select alpha 1 and alpha 2 such that we make sure that it is having all its eigenvalues negative. Okay, so then we automatically this one is followed. So by taking some values for assuming for some values for A and some values for P and making sure we are getting a correct Q value, we can get this P into substituting into this one. So we will see how to calculate this in an example. All right. I mean, if I think it is not really clear because this is the first time we are using this type of techniques. So let me explain it again. So theta dot, we are having a multiplication of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. So these 3 and this term are something very direct and we understand. So how do we get P is the tricky part in this. So first we define something called Z. What is Z? This complete thing. These 3 terms, adding of 3 terms gives us the Z. So what is first one? We know already how to calculate. The second one and the third one we don't know. So we have to select or we have to put some values for alpha 1 and alpha 2. So how do we put alpha 1 and alpha 2? We create a matrix like this in this format and we have to see what are the eigenvalues. If the eigenvalues are all negative, your matrix is good. You can use it. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so we have A. We know how to calculate this. We put 0, 1 is are very direct. We have to play with these two values, alpha 1 and alpha 2, such that this gives all negative eigenvalues. So usually any positive values here will give eigenvalues negative because this matrix form is selected such a way that it is selected in such way, in such format. Okay, so how do we calculate P? So we have A, we know what is A, and we don't know P and Q, but we know P and Q are positive matrix. So what we are doing is we give some value to Q, and then if we have some value to the Q, so we can do some operation, matricial operations to get the value of P. So if you see in this equation, we know A, we know Q, only thing missing is P. So we can have a matrix in, we can write in matrix form and you can give some certain values like A, B, C, D to P and you solve it and you get the values for the P. If you have any doubts, please ask me. I will repeat this part again, this part. If you have any doubts, please free to stop me and interrupt me and ask the question. Okay. So we know how to calculate A, and we know this equation is true when A is having all the eigenvalues negative. So we know that information already. So we are saying this equation is true, but we don't know values of Q and P. So what we do? We give some value to Q. We give some value to Q and then we try to calculate the values of P. So how do we give values to Q? We give Q value like we can give identity matrix. 1 0 0 1 is having all its eigenvalues positive. So this condition is satisfied. So if you multiply A times P plus P times A is equal to minus identity. So you know already A value, so you can find out what is the value of P. So that's how we are going to calculate the P, and we use it inside this equation. So we see A is 2 by 2 matrix. So P is also be a 2 by 2 matrix, and Q is also a 2 by 2 matrix. And also the additional information we know Q and P are positive matrices. Yeah. Any doubts? Please ask me.
The theta dot is a 5-term operator, right, Suresh? Is it based on the standard algorithm point of view, or is there any reason for extending P and E for this theta dot?
Yeah, this we will see in the theoretical part. Now just we'll implement the algorithm, and
Okay.
in the theoretical part, let us see how all these things came together. Why is it so? This algorithm is so weird, or we can say so many terms which we don't understand from the previous knowledge. How this came, we can see in the theoretical part of this. It is in the last section. Yeah, we'll see it. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the example. You have any other doubt, Kalyan?
No, Suresh. Carry on.
Okay. Okay. So let us see position control. We already seen this model in our previous classes. So we try to control the position of this model. So we can see this is a second order system, right? So for this, we come up with the theta and phi. So let us find phi first. Let me open the example. So the example is here. Okay. So this is our system. I'm clubbing the whole system into one piece, or the transfer function we are having here. What is the transfer function? 0.22, which is 11 by 50, and 9.3, which is 93 by 10, right? This is our system. So let us try step by step. So what is the error? So let us calculate first the error. The error is reference minus y. So what is the reference? I'm creating sum of two sine waves as a reference. So this, we want the system to follow this track, how this is telling. So this is the reference, right? Reference. So this is the reference, and this is the output. So this is the output. The output is y. Okay. So the difference between these two, reference minus output, gives us the error E. Okay. So if we derivate this, we get R dot here. We get R dot. And if we derivate this, here we get the output dot. So this is the output dot. So subtracting reference dot minus subtracting y dot from the R dot, we get error dot, E dot, right? So what we get is so this is the error dot we are having. So let us build the matrix E by adding first row as E and second row as E dot. So we are having this. So what is the output of, or what are we calculating here is the matrix E. Okay, we have E. So what is the next? So let us see what we are doing here. We're trying to add something. Okay, let us calculate this Z. What is the Z? Z is sum of three terms. The first term is R double dot. The reference is derivated 2 times. So this is R dot. So this is R double dot, right? So we are having R double dot, and then we have alpha 1 times E1. This is alpha 1 times, sorry, not E1, it's E dot. Alpha 1 times E dot. Alpha 2 times E. Alpha 2 times E. So if we add these three, what we are receiving is a Z. So this is Z. Receiving the Z value, the Z value. Okay. So let us find out what is phi. So what is phi? Phi is y dot y and z in a column. It's made of 3 rows, and first row is y dot, second row is y, and the third row is the z. So first row is y dot, so we getting y. The second row is y. The third row is z. So if you mix, if you concatenate all these three, what we get here is the phi. So we get phi here, right? So this is phi. So we have phi. So what we need, the only thing missing is the theta. So let us calculate theta. Theta is gamma times phi. So we are multiplying gamma to the phi. But where do we multiply? We multiply before the phi. So we multiply before. The g comes before. Then what we are multiplying? The b. It's actually B transpose. It's not B, it is B transpose. I made a mistake. It is B transpose. So the B transpose is here. So we know what is the value of B transpose. It's 0, 1, right? So we multiply 0, 1 here, the B transpose. And where do we multiply? After this one. So the G should be after. So if you see the multiplication, the G is after. Then what we have to multiply? Multiply with P. The P is also multiplied after. So what is the P? I have calculated using this technique. This we will see later on how it came into our equation. But what we have to know about the P is it should be a positive matrix. Let us see if this matrix is a positive matrix or not. So how do we see? Let us see if it is a symmetric matrix or not a symmetric matrix. So we see the diagonal elements we can ignore, and these two are the same. So this is a symmetric matrix. So what is symmetric matrix? P is equal to P transpose. So we can see that. And let us find what are the eigenvalues. So let us calculate the eigenvalues for this matrix. So what are the 0.02 minus 0.5 minus 0.5, 25.01. So if you see the eigenvalues, both are positive. 1 divided by 100 and another is 1251 divided by 50. So it got both eigenvalues positive. So we can say this P is a positive matrix. Okay. So we have P positive. Then we have to multiply with E. So first we have to multiply all these terms, then E. So first all these terms, then E. So all these things is theta dot. So all these things we have is theta dot. So if this theta dot after integration, what we get is the theta. So if it is theta, we are having theta transpose. So we know the U is theta transpose times phi. Theta transpose and phi. How do you know what is the first one and second one? If you point our cursor on this, it says 0.1. You can see multiply dot 1. 0.1 shows that this is the first terminal. If you put it here, it shows it as second terminal. Since it is rotated, we are little confused, but this is the first terminal, which is theta transpose, and the second terminal is connected to phi. So theta transpose phi gives us the U. U is the input to the system. We are giving input. And if you see the results, what we expect here, the reference, this is a reference and this is the output. So we are comparing the results if it is our system is following the track or not. So we can see it is following very correctly. It is very good. We can see the results are very good. If you zoom here, and during the starting, maybe there is small difference, but I see there is small difference. But as in general, it is, we can see the results are almost very close. But over a period of time, this result should, these two graphs should converge. So this is a secret for the second order system. This is how we implement it. So if you have any doubts, please ask me. The implementation part, we will go to the derivation part and see how it works, how we came up with this technique. So I want to know if you are clear with how to implement this algorithm. Okay, so I didn't say what are the alpha 1 and alpha 2 values I'm taking. The alpha 1 and alpha 2, well, if we go to the variable manager, we can see all the variables we are using in this. So if you see the gamma, it should be a 3 by 3 matrix. We are giving this value. And B we already know, and the P we saw. And alpha 1 and alpha 2, we are giving 50 and 2500. So if we see the matrix here, what did we say here? For making a stable system, we need all the eigenvalues negative. So if we have this matrix, we construct this matrix and see what are the eigenvalues. So this is 0, this is 1. Alpha 2, what is alpha 2? The alpha 2 is 2500, 2500, then negative 2500, and alpha 1 is negative. By putting negative, because you can see these are having negative values here. So if we put and we find, you can see there is some imaginary part. If we, this is not important for us, important is the real part should be negative. The real part is minus 25. If you see, this system is stable because the eigenvalues are negative. So from this equation, you can see if you are multiplying a negative with a positive, what you expect is a negative, right? So we can understand in that way. You are multiplying all the negative eigenvalues matrix with something positive, you are expecting something negative. But we'll see it in little more detail. Until now, if you have any doubts, please ask me in the implementation of this algorithm. Okay. If you have doubts, please please feel free to interrupt me in the middle. So I'll show this one small The same thing we apply to the robot to see how it moves. The same algorithm, instead of showing in graphs, I'm showing it on robot, how it moves. I'm not giving a pure sine wave, I'm giving a mix of two sine waves, so it's not moving like a sine wave, it's moving something little different from a sine wave. Okay. So if you don't have any doubts, let us go to the theoretical part to understand how it is working. I'll wait for 1 more minute. If you have any doubts, please ask me.
Suresh, the first joint of the robot is one supposed to move like a sine, right? Two sine merges.
Yes.
Two sine. It's a sine only, but almost. Now the question mark is like we can find in conventional second order systems, whatever the overshoots we observe, we can observe even in the same system also, right?
The overshoots which we can observe, these overshoots and all are response to the certain input, right? For example, if you have a underdamped system and if you give a step wave, you can see an overshoot. So to avoid all these things, what you want to do is you want to follow certain track. I mean, you want to follow certain trajectory. So using any controller, what you want to avoid is to have these overshoots or any undesired behavior of the system. So if you want to system to behave in certain way, you give the trajectory you want, and the controller will make sure that the trajectory is followed.
So if you change that input, reference inputs, two sine waves you're given, right?
Yes.
May I know why you're given two sine waves instead of one, in order to map the matrix, or?
No, actually it should work even with one sine wave. Why I'm giving is, I think, how many variables are we finding? For every two variables, we need one sine wave. But I think it should work even with, let me give this amplitude 0 and see what happens.
Okay.
You see, this is a simple sine wave. Even it works with even sine wave.
Yeah.
So this, let us show the result on a plot so we can understand. Because watching the robot is not so clear if it is sine or not. If you see, the result is a sine wave. We have to make sure that its first derivative and second derivative are also finite values. We can't go for infinite values. Or what we can say is we can't go with step wave or square wave or triangular wave. These things, for example, the triangular wave, if you see give the first different derivative, the triangular wave itself is continuous, but if you make it derivative, you get a square wave, which is not a continuous. It is not continuous function, so it changes. So we can't use this one. So we have to see that the output or what we are desiring should have first derivative and second derivative continuous functions because of the equations we are using. Because here we are using second derivative and also first derivative. So we have to make sure the reference first derivative and second derivatives are finite values. We don't want to give infinite values into the controller input. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a doubt. Generally, for time domain analysis, the test signals that we use are step signal or ramp signal. That's what we use, right?
Yes, sir.
Why we are actually going for sinusoidal signal in robotics? Like, is there any specific reason that we are going for sinusoidal signal? Because I think this is not a frequency domain kind of analysis. This is, I think we are doing it in time domain itself.
Yes, sir, we are doing in the time domain itself. As I said, we need to make sure the first derivative and second derivative are or we can say that they are finite. So to make sure that it is the derivatives are finite, if we select any other signal, the derivatives are not finite, sir. If you do in differentiation of a step wave, we can see at this point there is an infinite value. It's we know the step waves derivative is direct function, or we can say impulse signal, which is which goes to infinite value at 0 time. So we don't want those things to happen. If we have square wave, it also goes, its first derivative goes to infinite. If you see this triangular wave, its first derivative is not going to infinity, but the second derivative is going to infinity. So we can plot this. It may work here because we are not having we can't handle infinite. So maybe let us see if it works or not. I'm saying it is not going to infinite because we are numerically solving this. So we always have differentiation, some finite value. But let us see if the controller can handle this or not. If you give a triangular wave, I think it's unable to calculate. There is some error in the calculation. Because we have to make sure, as per the algorithm, the first and second derivatives are existing. This is not working. So only it works with the sine wave or some other desired the desired trajectory whose first derivative and second derivatives are well defined. This
Okay, sir.
yes.
Yeah.
I think the last time your call was you were disconnected, sir.
Yes, sir, I'm disconnected.
You have any
actually, probably that doubt you might have answered, but suddenly my net, because of my net signal, I got disconnected.
Okay.
So that's what adaptive and the normal control system. I was just asking the difference.
Yes.
If you have answered, I'll let know from other participants anyway, because I don't want you to repeat it. With probably you may be having some other things in your mind. I'll refer to Kalyan or some other participant, and I'll let.
Okay. Yes. And also, I wanted to say that this adaptive control is useful when you don't know the parameters, or the parameters are changing very slowly with the time. But with the PID controller, you can't always make for good performance if the parameters are changing over the time. There are some techniques in PID controllers like auto tuning technologies, or we have one article based on genetic algorithm mixed with the PID controller. So there are other algorithms, but as a classical PID controller, it is itself is not sufficient. We need to tune it over the time.
So basically, for parameter variations, if there are parameter variations, we have to go for adaptive control.
Yes, we can say parameter variation or unknown parameters, because we are saying parameters change at very slow pace. If it changes very quick, even this adaptive control won't work, sir. We will see that in the theoretical part why it won't work. It may work, but we can't guarantee it. So let us see why we can't guarantee it. So we'll see the theoretical part now. So
one more common question I have, because in all these algorithms, because even I have started getting into the state estimation, etc.
Yes.
All these algorithms, there is a lot of mathematical background which have been used to develop these algorithms.
Yes.
So do we need to understand that mathematical derivations to understand to use this algorithm, or will it be sufficient to know the algorithm and to know the variables or the entities that are used inside the algorithm? because when I go to some state estimation methods, there is a lot of probability and a lot of mathematics involved.
Yes, sir.
So do we need to really understand all that or go through that to derive this algorithms and then use this algorithm, or to what extent we have to limit, to what extent we have to use? Because all the algorithms you have said, I think background of it, there is a lot of mathematics, I think.
Yes, sir.
That's what I can understand. So
Yes.
is it necessary as an engineer for us to really understand the mathematics, or to what extent we have to limit?
Yes, sir.
So,
I will give you like my example, and I will give some of the other examples, like whom I know. The mathematical part is actually not completely required for us, for engineers.
Okay.
So, but we should be able to understand an algorithm. If we see this complex algorithm, we understand a lot of terms, but once we come to this p-value, we'll be confused because it is depending on z, the alpha values, and in return of alpha, we have another equation, and these all are interrelated. So sometimes to understand if these are time variant or they are some values constant, or how we want to implement this. So to understand this part of the algorithm, we sometimes need some mathematical understanding. Or if you see from some articles, so what I want to say is, if you want to write an article proposing a new control algorithm, then you should have a better understanding.
Understanding. So as a researcher, I think we need to have good understanding if you want to research or develop something new.
Yeah. If you want to research on the field of control, sir, if you want to improve some controller, if you want to give some insight into controller and you want to improve certain controller, then you need to understand. But if you want to just implement this on some other system, for example, you are creating a submarine in your lab and you don't want to understand the controller, it is fine, because you can use the controller which is already available. But if you want to improve the controller for a submarine, then you have to understand how it is working. So the application itself changes, because a lot of researchers, their main objective is not to create a new controller. They want to use the controller to solve certain problem. So in that case, they don't have to go deep into the controller part, the theoretical part. They just see this algorithm and it is sufficient if they can implement this. It's like Kalman filter. If we all use Kalman filter, but we don't know mathematical background behind that. It is very complex. I understood once, but I mean I don't understand completely, but
that's what I'm facing now.
Yeah, the
if I want to
professor
understand,
was
there's a
explaining
lot
me.
of probability involved.
Yes, sir. It's we don't have to understand the complete thing, but we should know how to implement. The professor who explained me knows that, and if I had doubts, I would have clarified, but I didn't pay enough attention to understand that. So what I did is I know how to implement this, but I know how it works, but I don't know the mechanics behind that. But I have seen it once. As a controller, I should know how it works. So I have seen it once, but I forgot completely. If someone asks me how it works, I cannot tell. But if someone is explaining, then I can say, oh, I've seen this already, but I forgot, something like that. Yeah. So it's like we are trusting on those control mathematicians, and we follow their instructions in those parts. But if you want to extend the Kalman filter to some other controller, if your research is interested in that, then you should understand there is no other options.
Thank you for the.
Yeah, welcome, sir. For example, here we already know as an engineers how to implement this. So the same thing I wanted to show today, how complex or how mathematically we can assure, or how mathematically we are putting the limits, which we are saying that the first derivative should be continuous and all those things. We can understand this in this derivations. So let us look into this. If you don't understand certain parts, it is fine, you can ask me. And we are not actually supposed to understand completely, because we don't have theoretical background as mathematician. But let us try to understand as much as possible. And in the future, if you are interested in this, you can go. And don't, if you are already interested and after seeing this, don't think it is very complex. Maybe it is my explanation is bad. So if you read by yourself, you may understand better than my explanation. So don't get demoralized by seeing so many equations, and just try to get a motivation that how mathematicians work and how we can trust it. They won't write anything without knowing. So if someone gives algorithm, if it is peer reviewed properly, so we can trust it. So let me show how it works. So this is a differential equation. So what is here? This shows is if it is order is more than 2, we don't put dots. We just write in parentheses the value. So if it is y, here it will be another y dot term. So after so many dots, so we stop putting dots. We write in parentheses. So how many dots are there? So each dot represents differentiation with respect to the time. So this is an nth order system. We are differentiating this n times. So here I'm showing the 9th equation is this. Okay, so I'm putting this so that we can see more of this screen. Okay. Okay, so this I'm writing it in state space. Actually, it is not required for this problem. I'm writing this just as a practice. So how do we write a state space equation? So we have x as the states. Sorry, it should be x dot here. This side, this is x. This is my mistake. It should be x dot. Okay, so how do we have x dot? If you write a vector, we have x1, x2, x3, x4, x4, and the last one will be xn, right? So if you write in this formula, the x1 dot is the x2. So what does it means? You're writing x1 dot is equal to x2, x2 dot is equal to x3, like that. The last one is this term. So what is this term? X with n dots on top. So which is equal to, if you put all these terms on the other side, how it looks, minus a1 times y of n minus 1, which is the last term. So we multiply this. We are writing this in the form of matrix. But we see all we are getting negative because we are sending all these things to the other side. So if you say this way, and the u, we have only one u because we are using, if you take this, all this term to the other side, you can say y with n dots is the only one which is having u. All the other ones is not having u. So we have one here and all the other terms is not having u. We put all zeros and one here. So this is how we write transfer functions. Just a small idea, but it's not required in our case. It is required for some other equation, but not for this. So we understand. So let's go to the control law. How we are proposing control law? We are saying the control law is this one, right? So 1 divided by b times a1 times y with n minus 1 dots on top of it. And this is the term, and finally a z. What is z? We are defining here. So before going to z, let us see this part and this part. If you put this one, this u into this equation 8, what do we have? Instead of u, we will write all this whole thing, right? So this b is cancelled with this b. And this a1, a2, all these things are going the other side, right? So we can cancel all these things because these are positive, these are negatives. We can cancel all things. So what we are ending up with is we are removing all the dynamics of the system. We are removing all these dynamics. We are removing all the dynamics, and then we are adding the dynamics what we want. What are the dynamics we want? Is this z. The z is the desired dynamics. So what we are doing in the system is we are removing all the existing dynamics and we are adding all the desired dynamics. So whatever may be the the actual system, we don't care because we are eliminating all the dynamics. Remember how we did in the first example of the control, like applying the inverse dynamics. If you apply the inverse dynamics, all the dynamics will be cancelled. So it is like applying the inverse dynamics, we are cancelling all the terms, and then we are adding some dynamics which we think we may need it. So what are the dynamics you are adding by yourself is these dynamics. So we are saying Z is equal to alpha 1 times R minus Y, or we can say error. Alpha 1 times error, alpha 2 times error dot. So we are adding in n terms, n plus 1 terms actually, these are n. So from 0 to n, so these are n plus 1 terms we are adding. So if we write in difference, okay, so this also the U we can represent in this format, the matrix format, theta transpose times phi. What is theta transpose? We take all the A1 divided by B, A2 divided by B, all those things as theta. So theta I is equal to AI divided by B. And what is the last one is the Z. The Z is, we are saying Z divided by B is the beta. No, I think 1 divided by B, sorry. The 1 divided by B is the beta, and the Z and all the other signals Y and Y minus 1 all are going into the phi. So if you see, this is the phi, this is the theta. If we multiply theta times theta transpose phi, we get this. So we have here. So we said substituting, like what we said, we're removing all the dynamics and we are adding this. So if we carefully observe the Z, we see all the terms are having errors except the last one. The last one is not error. It is R with n dots. Why are we doing this? Because the first equation, we already having Y with n dots. So we are subtracting with R with n dots. So what we get is E with n dots. So we are getting a differential equation in terms of E with, which is equal to 0. So we are selecting alpha 1 and alpha 2. So we said we are select alpha 1 and alpha 2 such a way that the system is stable. So what do we mean by system is stable? If you write in a matrix form, all the eigenvalues should be negative. So if you remember from the example, we said we select alpha values such a way that it is a stable system or its eigenvalues are negative. Why do we do that? Because this matrix should be equal to 0 and it should be a stable system. So what we are doing, we are taking some system which we don't know what are the dynamics. What we are doing, we are removing all the dynamics and we are putting the error is equal to, the differential equation of error is equal to 0, and we are saying it is stable. So what does it mean? After a certain time, the error will become to 0. Okay, but we have one big problem here. So what is the big problem? We are assuming that we already know what are the values of A1, A2 and B1 and all those things, but we don't know in the reality. So let us see what we know. So we know we don't know what is theta, right? So let us write this equation. Theta tilde, the tilde, I don't know what the wave theta is the difference between the theta estimate minus the actual value. The actual value is theta and theta cap is the estimated value. So what is the estimated value? With this equation, we can write the theta estimated value is equal to, you can say this is the error, theta error plus theta. So what we have access is theta cap. We can calculate theta cap, but theta cap is actual value plus some error. So what we want to do is we implement the same algorithm what we have here, but instead of theta, we will apply theta cap. So if we add theta cap, what happens here? So the U is theta cap transpose phi, right? So it is here theta phi, theta cap transpose phi, but we know theta cap is sum of these two. So We write this theta transpose and theta error transpose. So what we are doing is this estimated we are dividing into two terms. Something we know that it is true and something error. So with this part here, we can say this will be same as the one we have shown previously. So this will be converging into this, or we can say this will, we can be rewrite into this form. So what are the thing we are lefting out, we are having behind is instead of 0, now we have the error. So what is the error? This one, minus b theta error transpose times 5. Before we had 0, but considering that we don't know the exact theta values, we are getting this error. Okay, so we can write this in the state space format. So if we write in state space format, how do we write? So we already saw what is the state space format. So we have to write in that format. We write in E dot is equal to AE minus this times B. So what do we write? This is the A. All the terms are going to the down with negative. And the B, we see the B is only affecting to the last one. If you see this, it is only affecting to the last one. So all will be 0. Only the last one is 1. So if you see our second order system differential equation, we got this matrix and this matrix. So I will show quickly the algorithm which we have seen. So we said this one is the one which should be stable, and then we said the B is 0, 1. It is always 0, 1 because of the deduction what we have done until now. So this is the A and this is the B. Okay. So now the step comes. Before I continue with this, I wanted to tell to Kalyan, I think the time is finished. May I continue, or you want me to continue tomorrow? Please.
If the extension part is more, we'll continue tomorrow, Suresh. Or if you can conclude with some point, it's okay. You can add a few minutes.
It will take maybe another 15 minutes. So please see if it is. We can stop today and continue tomorrow, or if.
It's not a problem if we stop. I hope, Suresh. So we'll add up on. I think we've covered 3 laws, right?
We have seen the implementation part. This is something extra I wanted to show, that the mathematical background for this. So please see if participants are interested, or if they have some work, we can continue tomorrow. Tomorrow we will use another 2 or 3 examples with some other adaptive control technology. Another adaptive control technique. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So you tell me what we can do now.
The participants, like I think there is a small add-on to today's session, and if you can wait for 15 more minutes, like we can have this completion of the session. Now, please like respond to the suggestion. Is it okay if we add 15 more minutes to the present time? Now we are at 8:35. Please suggest.
Maybe we should continue tomorrow. I think tomorrow it's sufficient for us to.
Really?
Tomorrow time will be sufficient for us to continue this.
Actually, we are planning. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Anyway, like tomorrow, like if we extend for a bit 10 or 15 minutes, it's okay. Being a last class, we have a small valedictory, talk also. Then, yeah, it's okay, Suresh. We can continue tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
You can add on these points to the tomorrow session.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Suresh, for today's session, giving insights of adaptive control. So if you have any doubts, you can type it in the chat box, participants. So we'll consolidate the queries and we'll get back to you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a good day, Suresh.
Yeah, thank you. If anyone wants to see how it works, you can see the notes. The notes is available. So tomorrow we can continue with the discussion. Yeah. Thank you very much. Good night to all of you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.